Welcome everyone to the Healing Clinic. Look, why was I about to tell you Happy Friday? Today is Monday. My mind everywhere. But welcome everyone to the Healing Clinic. I saw some people got on before the show actually even started. And so I am so grateful for you guys for your support already to the point that everything don't want to act right. If you guys already do not know that we not only stream live on Facebook or YouTube, but we stream live as well on Blog Talk Radio. And I was informed yet again that because there are so many people logged on, it was shutting the system down. And I done just got back around to this thing. So listen, I don't need these problems already. And so I want to make sure that all of you that are tuning in, whether it be on Facebook, whether it be on YouTube, I want to make sure that you guys know where to follow us at. So make sure you follow us on Facebook at The Healing Clinic, follow us on Instagram at The Healing Clinic Podcast, and follow us on YouTube at The Healing Clinic Podcast as well. If you do not know that on this show, we tell the raw and uncut truth about trauma to triumph. It's trauma is a very delicate conversation that I find to not be so taboo in this time. But for me, the journey and where I know that the Lord is calling me to, it is a conversation that I often have. It is a conversation or a journey I personally have traveled myself to the point that this is where I want to share with everybody else. So it is not even me coming to the healing clinic to more so point the finger at you. It's me coming to the healing clinic to share a lot about myself as well. What I do understand is while God is healing me, that the Lord will use me as a vessel for others to be healed. So I am excited that you guys have decided to tune here with us on the Healing Clinic. And if you came to the launch party, what was that, April 26th, I had some friends that came in, sat in with me, had a conversation with me. And I'm grateful to God for those friends because just as fast as I did my first show, I was led to like ask them, do y'all want to come back? And they gave me some immediate yeses. I was like, well, okay. They want to come back on the show with me. And so I'm grateful to have them here on tonight. If you did not tune in, we have Miss Shardel that's coming back to have a conversation with me, Jeri and my friend Annie. All of them are coming to share. We talked about something in that particular show about the importance of healing. Um, we didn't dig too deep. We kind of briefly talked about that thing. They was dropping nuggets. And so I know that they're coming back to even be some more heavy hitters on tonight to share, to deep dive into the importance of healing. So I don't want to hold you guys any longer. As Shardel came on the last time, she shared how she was a relationship coach, and she in her career, she is a therapist. So y'all know she coming with some expertise, y'all. She got her degree to talk about what she know, right? And I can even be honest as a friend, she in the relationship area, she's had her own journey that she can speak to that thing too. And so she's going to come on. We have Jeri, who is a mom, who is the CEO and founder of the Single Moms Diaries, and she got some amazing stuff going on with kids, with moms. It's just amazing of the things that she's doing, and she dropped a nugget too about the importance of healing as it pertains to being a mother. So we're going to dive into that. We got Annie. Annie is this. She's a creative, so I'm not really gonna give too many lists of long things that she do, but she does many. She has many talents. And one thing that I can say about her, I think all of us, though, at the end of the day, regardless of what we are to people, that we are lovers of God. And so I don't want to hold you guys any longer. Make sure that you guys make to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You do not want to miss these episodes. If you know somebody that you need to share this information with, be sure to tag and share. We not on here gossiping. We are on here tonight together. And another thing I say about being important is all of us are women, and we're literally coming to support each other. And we're not even looking down on one another because we have an understanding as it pertains to healing that we all got our own journey and our journeys might not look alike, and that's absolutely okay. So I think that you should like, share, tag, tell all your friends, tell everybody. Because I'm a little crazy, but I'm just say tell everybody to tune in with us tonight and hear our take on the importance of healing. So, not too much longer, bringing the ladies into the room. Hi, y'all. Hi, y'all. Hi, y'all. Thank y'all for coming back. I appreciate you guys for coming back to have this conversation with me. If I'll be honest and say, when we have a vision, and sometimes this people be like, "Well, that's your stuff, right?" So they don't want to give into it. They don't, not that they don't want to support it, but they'll leave it for you to do it on your own. And I wanted to continuously say that this is not a mission that I can do on my own when it talks about healing because all of our lives look differently. Our healing journeys are different. They may sound the same. Be like, girl, you know what? I had that experience too, but your experience won't be like mine, and mine won't be like yours. And so that's why it's very, very important that we come here collectively to have the conversation about our healing journey. So I'm so thankful that you guys decided to come back on and chit chat with me about the importance of healing. Um I had some background conversations with y'all, right? Which I always do. That's how y'all got here because of the background conversations. And what's so funny is two of y'all was like, well, you should have talked about that on the show. I was like, I know, but they not even trying to put me on blast. Oh, it's early in the game, and they trying to throw me. Andy, they trying to throw me under the bus. They want to throw me under the bus.
So you just gonna let them know which two it was?
Yeah, yeah. That was a slick call out, Annie. That was a slick call out. You see, you caught it. Like, listen, I'm gonna tell you what two it was because they was like, well, you should just talk about that on the show, and everybody know that. You know how very transparent I am. But tonight I really want us to dig deep into as much as I always say as God leads you into the importance of healing. If I'll just start off a little bit. I'll say this: I'm not a scripted person, right? And so I think even what stands out to me to even share is everybody knows this past weekend that I sent my son off to prom, right? I sent my son off to prom in style, and I just bless the Lord for being able to do so. And it's so interesting that the importance of healing had a lot to do with that as a mom. Me taking the time to heal so I could show up and I could see different, because oftentimes people don't really want to talk about the bitterness in behind other people hurting you or the bitterness in behind people not showing up for you. And so when I even think about this past weekend, about the requirement that it had that I needed to heal, it was not even necessarily just for my son. I needed to heal for my children so I can be a greater example for my children. So we talk about legacy in the form of sometimes it's attached to being monetary. But in I see legacy as them being just able to see their mom be able to transform in a way that there is we know we talk about in church, we talk about generational curses and handing down bloodlines. So and part of leaving a legacy is allowing my children to see me healed and whole. And I am pouring that into them and helping them understand that they can fully step out and be themselves. And if I say anything as it pertains to my son, what I was able to see because I then made it about him. I created this thing around him because of his disability. People see his wheelchair before they see him. They don't give Ricky the chance to be Ricky because they've already given him this pre-notion of the brokenness because of the wheelchair, and they totally missed the personality of the dope person that he was.
If
And
only
so,
they knew.
right, if only they
If
knew,
only
right?
they knew how Ricky really was.
And so Ricky was able to be seen, y'all. And what I was able to see this morning, I mean, when I sent my baby off to school, he had his shoulders up, his chest was stuck out, and he was like, Mama, we Well, we walked out to this song, and I said, "That baby." My son told me he walked out. He didn't say, "Mama, you pushed me out. Mama, you rolled me out." He told me, "Mama, we walked out to this song," and he made sure that he played the song this morning. I said, "Well, baby, go and listen to that song till your driver get here." But it was so beautiful for me and how my healing is attached to that, because now I feel like if I talk about the importance of healing, it was too often that I was angry or I was mad because people never saw me for who I was. I was frustrated because I simply wanted to be me, and people were always attaching what they thought I should be, what they wanted me to be, and they didn't allow me to be who Browniesha wanted to be. So it was frustrating because it's like, I don't want to do that. You might want me to do that, but I don't. And so, in the importance for when I think about it today, because I was go kind of like write some stuff out, but I always do well with shooting from my hip. I always do well with shooting from my hip. So, in being one that wanted my voice to be heard, what I found as important is to listen to my children and what are their thoughts. What's important to them? What do they want to do? What do they not want to do? And not more so to let them get away with murder, like I just get to do what I want to, but definitely being in a space to hear them out. And if we want to be truthful, or if I still stick into the conversation of myself, um, it was important that I heal, because I feel like even me healing, it helped me be a better mom, because don't nobody want to talk about the broken mama. Don't nobody want to talk about the hurting mom. Nobody wants to talk about how you still got to be in position to show up for the kids in your own, and while you battling your own stuff. And so that it was important for me that I did heal, so I can be a better and a greater example for my children. And if I think back and said and thought about a whole lot of stuff, it will always result back to my kids, because now I refuse to allow them to allow anyone else to attach something to them that does not belong to them, that is not them. It's who they are. I want them to be seen. And so this weekend, that's where my focal point was. How could I set this thing up where it's not about Browniesha, but it is about Ricky? And I don't think if I was in a place of healing that I would be able to do that, because again, it's not an attack on anyone, but there are sometimes when you don't live out the life that you want to, there are some parents that potentially try to live through their children. And it took for me to be the healed version of myself and understand that whatever I had went through, that I needed to get past it, and not where it was brutal to Browniesha, but that it was necessary for Browniesha, because in what I show up in today is the example to show my children that they're able to show up and be themselves too. And so that's where I'm gonna start this thing at. Y'all can flow it however y'all want to flow it, but I definitely want us to be as open as possible to share with the people about what the importance of healing look like to you individually. And so, Shardel, since you are to the left of me, I think. However the screen go, you to the right, left, whatever. You go start this thing out. And I want to say to you guys, if you're we're open to keep our mics open so we can like kind of create this dialogue and insert, be like girl boo or whatever you want to do. I definitely want us to flow this thing out like we're you like we friend. Y'all know me. And I ain't coming on this stage to this show to be nobody else outside of me, because that's the importance of my healing, is that I be me. So
Mhm.
y'all, so go on here, Shardell. Go on here, girl. Go on here.
I'm just taking it in whatever direction from what you said. Okay.
Okay.
Um, wow, you said a lot. I feel like the thing that's been popping up for me since we all came back on here, because I know I had brought up to you guys how I was re-regulating the situation with my dad. And so I had a conversation with Browniesha after that, giving her an update because she had no idea what I was talking about when I brought that up to you guys. And so listening to her talk just now and then our conversation last week, one of the things that I think for me that I struggled with in both my relationship with my dad, but also just in current struggles, is not feeling appreciated. I feel like that's one of the things that drives a lot of what a lot of people do as they grow up is try to figure out different ways to be acknowledged, to be appreciated, to feel like what they're doing is actually being received. And I find always going back to like, when was that poured into me? When was I told, oh, you're doing great? When was I told, oh, I see what you're doing and you keep going, right? And I did have that from one of my parents. My mom gave that to me often. And even now I'll tell her, oh, I have this idea or I'm trying to do this. And she's like, okay, keep me posted. I know you can do it. You got it in you. But then I still have that little bit in me that's like, I still need somebody else to tell me that I'm doing well. And I feel like it irritates me because I know that it always goes back to my dad. it never fails. It always goes back to, when was I missing that and why was that void there? And I feel like what ends up happening, especially in relationships, is we go into these relationships looking for that validation. And even though I may say, okay, well, words of affirmation is not my love language. You don't have to like brag on me. You don't have to say all these things to me to make me feel good. But on the opposite of that is like, if I'm doing all these things and you don't appreciate me and you don't acknowledge me, it makes me second guess my capabilities. And that's such a hard place to be in because you're navigating so many different arenas under this one scope of appreciation, and you don't realize how it really affects every lane that you're in. And so going back to like the importance of healing is even healing that pain point of like, what exactly do I need to finally feel like, okay, you're enough. What you're doing is enough. What you're doing is being seen, even if it doesn't look like that. And my natural instinct is, as soon as I don't see that, I hide or I stop or I tell myself like, this is not going to be successful. Nobody has told you enough that it's going to be. Nobody has poured in. And it's like, well, why can't I just tell myself that? Why can't I just say like, it's okay if this person doesn't say anything. It's okay if that person doesn't acknowledge. I know what I'm doing and I know why it's important. But you don't realize that those are the little threads that hold you back until they're holding you back. And then what do? Right? Like, who do you go to finally be like, Shardel, get that out of your head? Because it's not that simple. It's not as simple as, because your friends, of course, will support you. You'll have other people who are like, I'm always going to pour into you. I always have your back. But if that still voice in your head is like, nah, you still need the crowds. You still need the strangers. You need, all these other people to tell you. All the other people are going to tell you because they love you. They're going to tell you that you could do it and because they support you or they see you. But then it's like, well, what about everybody else? Right? And so I feel like it's important for myself. And I mean, I can't speak for anybody else, but I feel like that little bit is hindering my success. And I always go back to, well, how do you heal that? How do you make yourself feel like everything that you're doing at some point, the people who need to see it will see it. The people who need to receive it will receive it. And the people who don't appreciate it, that's okay. Like, brush those people off of your shoulder. I feel like the easier thing to do is say like, oh, that doesn't bother me. I'll just keep going. And then as those slips happen, those failures happen, it's like a constant reminder of like, see, told you, told you needed to do that first. And it's like, no, you don't need that first. You just need to tell yourself like, you got it. And so I kind of going back to what you were saying of like, how do you make it not about you? I think the one thing that I can honestly say is when I kind of steer out and say like, everything that I'm doing really is not about me. I'm trying really hard for everybody else to kind of receive what I know that I have. That little reminder of like, did they say they wanted that? Did they say that they would appreciate that? Starts to surface. Because as a child, of course, your parents may not be asking you to do certain things, but you're doing things for them to acknowledge. You're doing things with the expectation of like, they're going to see me. They're going to pat me on the back. They're going to push me forward. They're going to invest and put money into me. And then when those things don't happen, you start second guessing like, okay, why? Like, what was it about me? And it's like, no, it's not about you. It has everything to do with them. It had nothing to do with you. And so what do you have to do to switch that switch in your head to be like, let that go? Like what's happening now has nothing to do with that. And I think that's where healing is important. That's when speaking about that stuff and being validated, like, hey, I understand how you feel is valid, but it's not true. It's everything that you feel doesn't always have to be an accurate thing, but in our minds, they're accurate because we've heard them so often. We've been confirmed in those so often that it's kind of hard to tell yourself, like, you've been confirming the wrong thing. Like, all this time, you've been telling yourself the wrong thing. And just like pivoting yourself to say, okay, think different. And if you think different, you'll feel different. And if you feel different, you'll do different. And all of those things will align if you just tell yourself, like, nah, you can't do that, that you can't do that. And I feel like that's a really necessary step before the healing starts, because then things will open up better, because then you're like, my brain is matching what I feel. And that's the hard part of healing, I think.
So it was something that you said, and I know that it's too often that, and you guys tell me if I'm by myself with this, that whether it been, I'm gonna say this, we'll dip it in there about relationships, and it's in the form of romantic or friendships
Right.
that you will begin to, when things don't work out or friendships end or something just go to the left or to the right, it goes opposite of where you are, and you begin to blame yourself. And what we have to understand that sometimes things between the exchange between us and people, it's outside of us. So it's not always us. Like it becomes a them problem and not a you problem. But if we don't be honest and say in those unhealed areas, or if we be honest and say that trauma, because this show is talking about trauma, that our trauma of our past can cause us to believe that we're the problem, when in all actuality, we are not the problem. Like, it's a them problem that you tried to show up and be the best person that you could be, and they were not receptive to you. So I think it go many different ways when we talk about outside of ourselves, whether it's being able to uh, uh, be okay that the thing didn't work out and we don't play the games, the blame game with ourselves, and also from the perspective of, as I talked about, as a parent, being okay with and hopefully this will come up later, but being okay with things didn't work out for us, to the point that, well, like for me, to the point that I don't now project my things onto my children, right?
Right.
And so I just wanted to insert that in there. And so we're gonna Annie, I'm gonna have you go um and come on in here and talk about the importance of healing. Don't hit us with no doozies like you did on Friday. Don't hit me with them with your drive-by shooters, and come in here and shoot us up like you did us the other week. Because I was like, not her talking about the healing that hurt so good. I was just like, bye.
Yeah. Thanks for that. So, I think it's important to heal because it kind of like push you forward in life. You know what I mean? It takes you from one place to the next, and that's important when you are an adult. I think it's also one of those things where it is specific for everyone. You know, whatever it is that you are healing from is specific for everyone. And I think it's also important to be aware of what's happening in the season of healing, like whatever it is that you're healing from, like what's actually happening. Take a step back and see what's going on. Do you still have the same people or friends around you that you had before? What has changed? And so that you can kind of figure out what you need to do. Like in this season right now where I'm at, everything is different. Everything has changed. Everything has changed. Job, where I live, everything different. Everything is changing. And for me, it makes me want to get to the why of things. And I think that's what healing is all about. It's getting to your why. Why are you doing that? Why are you accepting that? Why do you want that? Why have you attached some level of feeling to that? Because sometimes we will attach feeling to something and then call it fact. And it's not a fact, it's a feeling. And because you're reacting to it, you think it's a fact, but you attach some type of, what you saying?
That's good.
I said, there she goes.
That's good. She rolled right into that though. She came in real.
Keep going. I keep going.
So, how about Jeri? What you got to say?
No, you don't get to cut off.
No, you definitely gonna have
Jeri to the right of me.
You don't get to say popcorn, Jeri. We are not doing
Right.
that.
You're gonna handle this thing. You're gonna handle this thing on your own because I really appreciate it though. I'm over here being comical, but the way you keep coming here, I'm glad I got on my bulletproof vest. But you come here shooting, I'm just like, okay, like let me go sit in the corner.
Oh,
Annie, you speaking
to everyone. So I lost the train of thought. That's what happened.
I'm sorry.
I'll lose my train of thought.
You were going.
You said it was a fact. It wasn't a fact. It was a feeling.
Yeah, it was that.
Attaching feelings to things, and it was you know how which is it's gonna sound really, really crazy, but there's a scripture in the Bible where it talks about, and me and one of my other friends were talking about this too, where the Holy Spirit led Jesus into the wilderness. And if you guys have been listening to Dr. Dollar, he's kind of like hitting on that too. And it's like he led him into the wilderness to be tempted. And sometimes we think that the healing or whatever it is that we're going through is supposed to have this like Barney effect to it. Like, come on, kids. Like, it's this Barney effect. And that's kind of not how life is. And then if you attach a feeling to that, or if you feel like things are supposed to always look glamorous, or your healing is supposed to look a certain way, and if it doesn't look that way, then nine times out of 10, you're looking for something to blame. And most of the time, you're gonna blame yourself, right? You're gonna look inward. It gotta be me. It must be me. It must be something wrong with me. And if you are being led by the Spirit, you're also thinking, can't be God, because God wouldn't do that to me. Who said that? Right? So you have to make sure that when you are going through a season of healing, that you are very aware of what's going on, right? Very aware of how you communicate with God, right? He may be changing that up sometimes. Sometimes he'll communicate and all of a sudden everybody will come and give me a confirmation of something that I prayed about, right? And then there'll be times where the way that he'll get something to me is totally different. So just being aware of what's going on in the season and not adding other things, like other issues while you are already healing, adding other things to your plate. The other day I was also talking to a friend and I was saying, like, when you are healing, you're looking for something to soothe, right? So you think about the things that you use to soothe yourself. That can be anything. I don't want to just throw people out there, but it could be anything, whatever you use to self-soothe. And sometimes we would pick up new habits to self-soothe when we are trying to heal from something because the pain just hurts so bad. So just being aware of where you at, what you're going through, how you deal with pain, not how anybody else deals with pain, but how do you deal with pain? When, how do you deal with pain? For me, sometimes I get silent all the time, so I can't say that. Well, I get silent. I get very silent. Well, no, that's not a good example. But how do you deal with pain? And I do get silent, but in this time, in this season, for whatever reason, I'm talking more. I talk on the phone with Browniesha a lot more, right? You could say that, right? So I'm talking more, dealing with things differently, because I want to make sure that if I, whatever this is I'm healing from, that it looks different, right? It looks different. It don't look the same. So, and when you are ready to, or you've been healed from a certain thing, when you're ready to share your how. That's when you know that you've been really healed from a certain thing, when you're ready to share with other people how you did it, who got you there, what resources you use, because when God heals your heart, he postures it for other people so that you can share whatever it is that he wants you to share, or how you've done the thing with him, so that they can move forward too. It's all about progression, moving forward. And if we don't do that, then we'll stay stuck. And that's no fun. So now I'm done.
Whatever. She came in through here. She did the drive by, like I said. But it's so much to what she said, and I'm like, okay, we talking about healing, but this thing got a little bit too excited, and we got to cap this down with like in a time frame. But it's so much that both of you guys have said, and it's definitely beautiful. If I can say anything before we even bring Jeri on, uh healing is like the most amazing thing. I know it requires a whole lot of pain, but it's one of the most amazing things because what I found out about healing is I found me in that, and I like me. I like the me that I hid that was hiding up under all the rubbish, the trash, and all the the I don't, and not to make myself look bad, but up under all the stuff that was through on me through life. Once I went in there and started pulling stuff out that didn't belong to me, that I even allowed other people again to attach to me, um, I was like, I like her. Like I can even say this, Jeri, you can go and get ready to unmute your mic. I even found out when I healed that my appetite for many different things, because I ain't gonna name nothing neither, Annie. My appetite even it began to change, and because Shardel is a friend and she also in her career is a therapist, I was talking to her because y'all, this might sound silly, but I don't like scrambled eggs no more, and I've been eating scrambled eggs my whole life. I put them things in my mouth, and it just was like I was like I didn't like, and I'm like, but I've been eating these things, scrambled eggs, my whole life. What happened? What happened that now I don't want to eat this? So no, give me a sunny side up. Don't you give me them scrambled eggs because I'm gonna give them. They taste like mush in my mouth, y'all, and that might sound really crazy though, but if we be honest, healing is a part, it's attached to us psychologically, right? I mean, to go through the realms of talking about healing is psychology. We have to talk about the psychology of things. And so that was something for me, y'all. And me getting healed, I found out that my appetite for many different things, it changed. Even I look at the old version of me, and I did it in survival mode, but I was like, what was you thinking? And who is her? Because we don't want to go back over there with her. She was tripping. So I just had to say that based on some things you said. I didn't got too excited. Go ahead, Jeri. Just go. Just go. Just go, Jeri. Just go.
That was the like perfect segue into what I wanted to talk about. The importance of healing was the relationship I built with myself, my needs, my wants, acknowledging like my desires, what I don't like. Um, also not living in life of offense, right? Being offended and then offending others. That's the importance for me because people can say things to us and it totally just be just conversation, right? But because I'm in this place of healing and I'm sensitive to certain things, now I'm offended by something someone said out of pure just conversation or their actions that they did. It had nothing to do with me, nothing at all. But now I'm offended because I'm just in a sensitive place because I'm healing. And so that help in that process is helping me to like Jeri. Like, I've always been the person very social, right? Like me and Annie were a day apart. And I feel like we're night and day sometimes. But now that I'm building this relationship with Jeri, I find myself being more so kind of like Annie. You know what I mean? And not like Annie's a bad way, but she's very, she can be an introvert at sometimes. And I've learned to enjoy the introvert Jeri. Like I've learned to like be quiet, be like at home and not around a bunch of people. I'm learning to like the silence, right? Like I used to like loud music, everything like so moving around me. And now I listen to talk radio, y'all. Like I never thought I would get to the age where I listen to talk radio while I'm driving. And so I'm like, what is going on? Like, Jeri, what is happening with you? But this new version of myself is the healed place and the things that I do like. Like I'm kind of tomboyish, right? But now I want to wear makeup. And I'm like, I even hit Annie. I was like, I want to do my eyebrows. Like, what do I do? What do I buy? You know, like, so this new version, I wouldn't even say the new version, the original version, right? The real true version of Jeri has so many faces, but the broken Jeri was wearing one face, doing one thing. And now I'm learning the versatile side of me, where one day I can wear tennis shoes and a sweatsuit. And I used to hate, let me tell you something, I hated sweats. But now I can do like some tennis shoes and a sweatsuit and I'll be okay. And then the next day I'm in a full on like dress, little, you know, boots and a jacket. And then the next day I'm in like a business suit. Like there's so many sides of me that I'm learning to embrace in this healed place. And it's just like, oh, I like this. Y'all, I even got some plants, like some real plants. Like this is like, I'm telling you, like it's huge for me. Like, whoa, like I'm caring for them. I'm talking to them like, good morning, Peace Lily. How you doing, little pie pie? Like I just, you know, I got these names and it's almost like the caring, nurturing, true person that I am, that yes, I always show, but there was a place that it was kind of like I only showed it enough to like let you see me, but not really see me. And I was like hitting behind this curtain. And now this curtain is like gone and I'm fully exposed. So there comes a level of vulnerability too. Like I am like vulnerable and I'm like just open. And I have to live that way because I think it was Annie, you spoke about like helping others, right? Because this is for someone else. Because someone else can see, hey, if Jeri's living her true life in this, her true authentic self, organic, natural self, then hey, I can too. You know, so it's the healing also has a story to it. It's like each chapter. And the chapter that I am in right now is like chapter acknowledging Jeri. And I am loving this place because it's such a cool place for me. Like there's a lot going on, but then there's just like, hey, it's not so much, you know, like it's peace. And then those that now come in my life, you're only invited in to where I want you to be invited in, right? Like there's like boundaries that comes with this too. So now you're only invited in so much. I'm not offended, and I hope they don't get offended when I say, hey, no. You know, I'm learning to say no. Like Brandon talked about her weekend. My weekend was just kind of like, wow, Jeri, you're not supposed to be in these spaces no more. And I really had to be okay, right? Like I was okay, but I had to like talk to her, talk it through. Like, is this cool? Like, am I really feeling this? But the old Jeri, the broken Jeri, the people pleaser Jeri would have just been cool. You know what I mean? Like, man, I'm gonna go anyways. If something bad happened, I'm gonna just accept it. And if I gotta do this, I gotta do that. And it's just like, nah, the hill Jeri is learning that there's just some places I don't go no more. And I'm okay with that. I like it. And I've also had to do those things with family. Like, and it'd be okay. And Shardel, you spoke about your father, and me and my father is on a healing journey. And so it is so much better. But that is me really having to like call him out, and you know, like not in a bad way, but be like, no, Dad, that's not cool. Don't do that. And then also accepting when he's like, I love you, or doing things for me, because that's a new place. You know what I mean? Like, so it's a lot of give and take. And it's just it's a beautiful thing. It's a real beautiful thing. And if you really allow yourself, because like we're all talking for other people, right? So if we're telling people the message, if you really allow yourself to heal and you really grasp the importance of it, your life will be so beautiful. Like it will be so fulfilled and full. And it's not about like financial stuff. I think some people attach happiness with money, right? And so it's not that. It's about like real joy, real inner peace, you know, fun, laughter, like hugging my kids, loving my kids. It's a whole new level of, hey, chapter acknowledging Jeri. So yeah, that's it.
That part about
that girl,
we talked about that. That's what that we talked about that. So I want to say this is a little funny because and this is not an attack, Annie. Let's be clear, but the fact that Jeri said that like now she want to be an introvert and go in like Annie. I think one day I was so frustrated. I told Annie, I said, I understand you now because I want these people to leave me alone. Like, because what I did understand is the unhealed version of myself was a people pleaser. So I wanted to show up for everybody. And I didn't realize that I needed time for myself. So now I've arrived to the place where I think I like the time for myself a little too much. Hey, but that's neither here nor there. I'm gonna go enjoy this space while I'm in it.
I want to jump in real quick, if
What
it's
you gonna
okay.
say? Go ahead.
So one of my, which I haven't talked about yet on this podcast, but one of my biggest traumas was my divorce or my separation from my ex-husband. And I remember we had finally moved into our own places. I had my own apartment for the first time ever. And it was one of these things where I was isolated. Like you guys are saying, I was a people pleaser. Anywhere anybody ever needed me, I was there. I had my car since I was 16, which most of my friends never had cars that early. So I was the one taking people places when they needed to go. So I was always involved. And that was just who I was up until that point. And I remember getting to this place where I would sit on my couch and I wouldn't have the TV on. There would be no noise. And I would just sit there for hours. And I got a call from my mom one day and she said, "Are you lonely?" And I said, "No, I don't feel lonely. I feel happy with myself because for the first time ever I was comfortable in silence. I was comfortable with myself. I was comfortable with how I felt. And like Jeri said, it gave me the space to figure out like what actually feels good to me, who feels good to me. And then I was very discerning about who came into my space because I was like, look, I don't need anybody. I finally learned I don't need anybody in my space. So who exactly is privileged enough to even come back into this bubble? Because like you guys said, it is a change and you feel it deep down. And so you're like, I don't want anybody to disrupt this peace. But it's one of these things of you have to, I think we talked about this last time too. Like after you cut the noise out and you can actually identify like, what is it that I feel? What, like, am I angry? Am I sad? Do I really like these people? Whether it's friends, whether it's family, whether it's coworkers. I mean, it was a weird place to be. But I remember saying to my mom, like, no, I'm just happy with myself now. And she's like, okay. Right? Because I feel like the first fear, like you guys said, when you start getting introverted, when you are, or you thought you were an extrovert, and then you become an introvert and you're like, well, am I changing? Do I not like people? And it's like, no, you just were an extrovert to fulfill something that you had inside of you that was missing. And that was you identifying what you really felt. Because if you really sat back and thought about all of those places, all of those people, all of those scenarios, were you really comfortable? Were you really happy? Or were you just navigating in a space because you didn't really want to identify how you felt? And so I think I said this last time, but it's like you almost have to be pruned into like being by yourself to finally say, like, what is it that I need to feel happy, to feel joy, to feel peace? And then as you're gathering those people around you after the fact, you're no longer introverted because when you're around the right people, you're out. You're like, hey, I feel comfortable. I feel this and that. But then it's like, but also I also recognize like when I don't feel good, I can now pass. I can say no. I can say I don't want to go there. And that is a healed space. But it takes so much of you actually recognizing like how much of that wasn't so healthy. How much of that really didn't make you feel comfortable? How much of that was you being passive aggressive? And so that you can stand up and finally say like, nah, I'm not going to deal with that anymore. I'm sorry. Like, it's not really about you. Now it's just about me protecting me and protecting who I know I have to be to navigate in a healthy way, because all that stuff back there just wasn't for me. And I feel like that was a really dynamic moment for me because I didn't realize until she asked me that question, like that I actually was comfortable in silence, in my own thoughts, in my own feeling, in my own body. And a lot of people are not there.
That is so true. It's what's that dropper, the Micah? No, it's for real, so true. I mean, I don't know if I want to ask this question because we are live, but it's so many people looked at me and felt like, Bernicia, you weren't passive aggressive, or I had a friend tell me earlier, Bernicia, I feel like you always spoke up for yourself, and I was like, absolutely not. I did not, because I always felt like I was going to be made out to be the villain. But then when I came around to, like, I don't like that, so I'm going to tell you I don't like it, and my favorite line is, well, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do that. And at first, I used to be scared because it bothered me to let people down. But it was something that I did want to share, because it was something Jeri said, but I wanted to share. It was too often, and I probably had this conversation with all of you guys. It was too often that um, I tried to dim my own light in showing up in rooms. And I had in healing has helped me show up as my true self, as I've already stated, to the point where, just say, I don't know, I remember one time I got really dressed up because I have a personality, right? And I think I went to my cousin's funeral. I mean, not funeral, God forgive me, it was his wedding. It was his wedding. I mean, wedding. We live. Yes, I went to my cousin's wedding. So I had like my makeup on. I was dressed, but that's my personality. And it was somebody asked me a question like, "Well, how dare you show up to somebody else's stuff looking like that?" And I was like, "Well, what was I supposed to do? Because this is who I am, right?" And so a part, because I've had that experience with people so many times, a part of me began to retreat, and I came half myself so I wouldn't upset other people. Like, and it started weighing on me really, really bad, to the point I got very frustrated. But now, in the healed version of me, the healed person of me is, I show up as myself. And if, again, we talk about people outside of us, if the person outside of me, you can't handle that, that's a you problem and it's not a me problem. But for many, many years, I always had to question myself. Should I say this? Should I do this? Should I not do this? Should I not come like that? Should I, like, it was just all this stuff in my head. Oh, should I do for the sake of other people? And I found it to be so I started to because of my experiences with everybody else, I started to then see that myself as they saw me, like, oh, Browniesha, you extra, or oh, Browniesha, you this, or oh, Browniesha, you that. Like, you attention seeking. And the truth of the matter, it was none of those things. It just was who I am. So now I show up as myself, and it is so breathtaking just to be who you are. But another important part of that, I think I said it on the last show, is having the right people around you, because the right people around you go allow you to be you. They're not going to be intimidated by you. They're not going to do any of those things. And even if what I love is, even in those spaces, if something is off, I truly believe us as friends, we can have a conversation, right? Like, there is a conversation to me they had. And so I feel like, again, talking about the topic on tonight, about the importance of healing. The importance of healing, regardless on what side of the fence it is, the importance of healing is so you can show up as your true self, and the importance of healing so you can allow the people outside of you to show up as their true self. Because if you're not secure with yourself, a person that told me, "Oh, you dress like that," that has nothing to do that with me. That has, because you're insecure with yourself. It's not a Browniesha problem. It would be a you problem, right? So it is important that each and every one, those of you that will listen, that will tune in. And Jeri, somebody, Octavia, she laughed at you talking to that plant. She said laugh out loud, and she put the plant symbol. But even I love that, the fact that, Jeri, you can come here and you can say, I was talking to my plant. Like, that's a beautiful, because I don't want to dive into this, because they were trying to make me talk about my grieving journey. These two people on this side, Annie, we're not gonna call them by their name. But what I will say, because Jeri was very frank about her talking to the plant, what I understood on my grieving journey is that it don't look like nobody else's. I don't have to explain to you why I do what I do, because it is what works for me. And I truly believe, even outside of it just being us grieving, whatever works for Shardel, whatever makes you feel good on your healing journey, whatever works for Annie, whatever works for Jeri, That's okay. Who is anyone outside of you to tell you how to walk this thing out? And so when people begin to insert themselves, again, it's an indicator that that person needs to now work on who you are and be content with who you are. Because when we're not content with ourselves, that's why we be in everybody else's business. Because we ain't content. Well, you be in everybody else's business because you're not happy. My son is trying to tell me what to do. But you're not happy with your own self. And so it's so many different things. It's so many different ways this conversation could have go when it talk about the importance. But I think more so than anything, the importance of healing is first start with you. When we started this conversation off, I said that it was my children, which it is, but it first starts with me because I have to be the healed version of myself to then be an example for them to allow them to walk in the full version of who they are. If I don't do it, I can't tell them, oh, you know what, Mila, speak up for yourself, or Ricky, be your true self. If I myself is not walking around here being an example for them. And so we lead by way of an example. And so saying that to say that that's why it is important that we heal. And again, it will not look the same, but it's some key things that was said tonight. So I hope every one of you guys that are
Can I
listening,
jump in real
you
quick,
guys,
Browniesha?
yeah, you can come on, everyone that's listening, you guys make sure you make note. We still have those that are on Blog Talk. They extended the show, you guys, because we came in a little late. So Blog Talk Radio has been extended. Those of you that are on YouTube or Facebook, make sure you like and share. You can go ahead, Annie.
I was gonna say when it comes to, I think we started talking about it in the beginning, leaving a legacy, and I think it's important to kind of understand that leaving a legacy is not just about leaving behind wealth and all of those things, but it's about leaving a part of you still here. The part of my grandmother that is still here with me is the part of her that taught me about Jesus. The part of her that's still here with me is the part of her that taught me about faith with her actions, right? So when you're dead and gone, yeah, your money could still be here and they're going to spend that and it's going to, do what it does. But the part of you that you want to leave is the part of you that's healed, right? You want to leave them with that. You want to leave them with the idea of that's what they want to take with them. I feel like I see her all the time because of the things that are still here with me, the things that she taught me, the things that you leave behind. So if you want to leave anything behind, you want to leave behind, something that a person can take with them that they cannot buy, right? They can't recreate, but there's something that you left behind, something you taught them. And it's easier to teach from a healed place. And then also understanding that we are always students and teachers, right? You are always in this position of a student. You should be, because we don't know everything. So you should be always learning something, whether you're learning something about yourself, something about the world. I mean, learn how fries are made, learn something, right? Like you can just learn something, right? You should be learning something, so you're forever a student, but then also you're also a teacher by sharing your experience with others and kind of like leading and guiding them where they need to be based off of what you've gone through. So I think that's very important when it comes to like leaving a legacy, just making sure that it's something that you want to be here when you're gone.
Some money can't, that's not something that it can't buy. And I truly believe that even in that, as we've evolved and we are learning, um, we are demonstrating something different because these conversations about healing being an inheritance was not something that was talked about. It's not even a focal point where people talk about. People are broken. They leave here broken and they've created brokenness in someone else. So that's why I said that, healing it has been a taboo conversation. I do see people coming around to it, but it's absolutely necessary because when I thought about this, and I'm gonna open it up if Shardel or Jeri, if you guys wanted to say something, but what It's a scripture that I've been standing on for a long time, it's somewhere in John. I think I want to say John 10:10. I could be wrong, you guys. I could be wrong, but the Bible talks about where he says that the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. He said, "But I come that you have life and life more abundantly." And so when I think about the abundant life, I think about living in the fullness of God, and the fullness of God is to walk and be healed. He sent his son to die that we be healed, that we be whole, that we be free. And so, who are we to walk this land in brokenness when our Savior sacrificed his life for us to be healed? And so, that has been a thing for me, is literally like I've been chasing healing down. Like I'd even look back, and healing has been attached to so many things as it pertains to my life. I want to be healed and whole. As I've took the journey, I take other people with me. So that is truly anything. I would love to leave my kids money. That's nice. But I definitely want them to be able to truly walk and authentically be who they are. And you can't authentically be yourself if you're not healed. If you're broken, you can be yourself. You're gonna always venture off to be something else. And so healing people, I want to stress this, that it is so important. We put everything else before our own healing. It's I gotta work the job, or I gotta show up to the party, or I gotta do all these things, and we don't put ourselves first to really sit with ourselves, as Shardel said earlier, and like, what is it that you like? What is it that you want to do? What is it that is affecting you? What is it like? What is that? And if you don't have anyone to talk to, I'm gonna tell you how to get a therapist. I recommend, I advocate for Jesus and a therapist. I love the Lord, but I know that the me having a therapist has saved my life. And so I want to really stress that to you guys tonight. To if you come across this podcast, I want to stress that if you are broken, you are hurt, you've been through some things that you never talked about, let healing be something that you now invest in, because wholeness is your portion. Like I speak that over your life now. I don't want no one to come across this podcast and feel like, oh, this is just life for me, because no, it's not. We have the power to control how the end narrative turn out. Like it's up to you. We talk about to have what it say, faith without works is dead. So we can have faith that God, he's already healed us. He's truly waiting for you just to tap into your own thing, because he's already done it for you. And so you guys, I don't know if anybody else wanted to share, but I definitely wanted to talk about how important healing is, because it healing changed the way you look. Like I don't even look the same. I think me and Jeri talked about some videos or pictures or something we saw. We don't look the same way we used to. I mean, I was darker, got all kind of stuff going on. When you begin to heal, your body don't even feel the same. Like so, it's so many different things attached to that. And so JoJo on here, she said, absolutely, we are responsible for our own healing. We definitely are. It is us. We have to invest the time, whatever it is, that requirement. We have to, yes, I just literally said it. Invest in your own healing. It is up to you. What will you give up? What will you sacrifice for you? Like for you, that you can be better. What is it that you are willing to give up? And I had to walk away from people, places, and things in order to fully walk in the space where I can be healed. I had to even investigate the people that was around me, because that's a byproduct of your brokenness. The people that you allowed to be in your circle. So it's so much, like I said, can be said around this topic. But I wanted to definitely give one of you guys.
I like what you said about therapy, because what came to mind was helping me in this moment is village, right? And so my village right now consists of, yes, like therapy, like dropping in therapy, a mentor, and my siblings, right? So, and it's almost really like God took me back to my core, because growing up, I didn't have a lot of friends, right? I knew people knew me, but it was just really me and my siblings. And now it was me, my siblings, and God. And so now my mentor and my therapist is like added into that mix. And it's a village that takes, because someone has to hold you accountable, right? Like when you start to like kind of drift off, when you may be not doing something right, someone who can like pull you back. And it takes a trusted person to be able to pull you back. Because if I don't trust the person to tell me what's going on with me, then I'm going to be offended. I'm going to be in my feelings. And so the village is needed. And Annie spoke about it too, about being the student and the teacher. And so that's, really big with me and my mentor. Like my mentor is like the teacher, right? And then the other day I was able to kind of teach her something. So then she became the student. And then with my siblings, it's the same way. Like we're teaching each other. Okay, so now I'm the student because I'm listening to you. And so it's a back and forth thing. And the healing journey includes a village and people, and even the healing clinic, right? This is now a part of our village, right? Because this is now become for us like a weekly meeting space for us to come and talk. Even though we may talk to each other outside of here, now this is a village. And now we have become someone else's village. Those who are watching us, now we're a part of their village. So it's all about relationships too, that we are building and we are giving other people. And I enjoy this space. And I hope whoever is listening to us is able to take, one of us is a skilled professional therapist, and the rest of us is just going through life and handling things and giving our input and our, what we've been through and our opinions and things like that. But take this healing clinic as your village and apply it to the areas of where it needs to be, and be able to pull from it when you need to pull from it. So that's all I wanted to add.
Was there something you wanted to say, Shardel?
I do. There's a book called The Body Keeps Score that talks about trauma. And it talks about how your mind, how your body internalizes your trauma. And it really kind of gets deep into like what that actually means. And I think the way that they break that book down is so good, because it talks about how your brain has all of these like neurotransmitters, right? And when trauma happens, it damages the connections that happen in our brain. And so what it talks about is like our brain is so flexible if we just allow it to be stretched and allow it to learn different avenues. Because once you start telling your brain like this is an avenue, that's like we talked about habits. And they say like you do something for 21 days and then your mind and your body recognizes that it's something that you're always doing. So it's the same thing when it comes to trauma. I usually, when I talk about trauma, like in therapy, because I also advocate for Jesus in therapy. So when I'm talking about, in therapy, I always say like your brain is kind of like either a Rolodex or like those, those cabinets that have multiple drawers. And you know how you walk into a room and they have millions of drawers and millions of cabinets. Your brain is kind of like that. And every once in a while, you'll get triggered by something and it'll pull a file out of a cabinet and bring it to the front, right? And it's like, hey, here's this file. I thought you forgot about it. And it's one of these things of like, if you think about your brain like that, all of that is weighing you down. All of those cabinets and all of those files that you choose not to deal with are damaging your literal brain. And it's because you don't want to actually bring it to the forefront to say like, hey, this is bothering me, or this is something that's really doing something to my body. And just in science, stress will kill you. And if that's just at the basic level, unattended stress, just building up in your body will cause disease. Like this is a physical fact. And so a lot of people don't realize it starts in your head. It starts in how you process stuff. And like Jeri said, your village, I personally feel like your village is there for your space to get the things out of your head in a safe space, to be able to rationalize the things that are going in your head. Because most people will say, well, I can deal with it. I can think about it. I'll think it through. And you don't realize that all you're doing is just putting it back in your Rolodex. all you're doing is saying, like, you're not really going to deal with that. Maybe next year, maybe 3 years from now, I'll stick it in a folder and push it to the back. And then one day, one random day, when that thing hits you and your body feels it, and you're like, I can't get out of bed and I can't think straight and I can't. And it's like, it's that folder. it's the folder that you told yourself that you didn't want to address or didn't really bother you that much. And that's just you suppressing it in your body. And so one of the things that I would say for anybody starting the healing journey, especially about trauma, pick the book up, because it also gives really good interventions, really good resources on how to work those things out, even if that's physical activity, because sometimes it's literally physical. Sometimes the things that are stuck in your body just need you to move, need you to walk, need you to stretch, need you to do different things to get out of the place that they're in. But we don't do that. Our natural body says, oh, I feel it, I'll curl up. Oh, I feel it, I don't want to talk to anybody. Oh, and which is opposite of everything that you're naturally supposed to do, but that's trauma. And I think if people can recognize that when you go left in trauma, you really should be going right, it gives you that push, like you said, that village to be like, hey girl, get up. I know you don't want to, but take a walk around the block. I know you don't want to, but I'm about to pick you up for something to eat. I'm gonna call you to make sure you showered. Like, you know what I mean? Just get up and feel the water on your face, because sometimes that's all you need to do for your brain to be like, okay, this is different. Because if not, you're always going to go back into that loop of isolating, of reducing yourself, of beating yourself up, when really all you have to do is just do different.
Good stuff. It was all of that was just all of it has been amazing, and thanks to all of you that are tuning in. We got Evangelist Tammy. Thank you for joining in. We got V Lanice. We have Cherie. We have I don't like pronouncing people names. Is it Audra? Thank each of you for tuning in. What one of the things, and we are getting ready to come to the conclusion of the show. One of the things that I found out that has helped me on my healing journey, and I think it's the importance about that. What I feel is it then in your transparency and your truth, you help someone else be able to be uh you help them come out of their stuff too, because they'll look at you. Because some people look at us be like, "Oh, you strong," or I know in the world that I'm in or in my family, everyone looks at me to be the strong person, right? And then a recent event caused that to change, where I wasn't not that I wasn't strong. It's just the way I dealt with this matter was totally different from any other matter. And what I found myself doing was, my sisters. I have, ooh, but I got like four. I got five sisters under me. What I told them was, I explained to them, I said, listen, I know you guys are so used to seeing me take the high road or so used to me being strong. I said, but today, if you find me not as the person you want to see, I want you to know that this is who I truly am. Instead of, because if we talk about trauma or the unhealed version of us, we begin to mask our pain. We begin to mask the things in which we've our experience. And we've for so long, I know myself, if I can't speak of anyone else, I have been I have been in survival mode. And so at that time, to be the person that I knew my siblings always looked up to, I was the strong one. It was so freeing for me to like sit in what I was feeling and tell them like, today y'all ain't finna see that. Today you might see a person that you have never seen before, because now that is the true version of who I am. I am the person that I can't take on everything. I shouldn't have done it in the first place, but it was learned behavior. And so when I was able to share that with them, a part of me felt like I gave them the space, like, if my sister been big, bad, and strong all this time, and who they look up to me to be as, if I could come to them and be vulnerable enough to tell them, like, hey, y'all, I ain't got it today. I feel like I opened the door for them to say, you know what? I ain't got it right today neither. And I might not have it right tomorrow. So I feel like it's literally when we open up the door to come here in this place to begin to express, like, it was bad for me. Like that didn't look right or that hurt. We then set the example or the space for other people to be like, me too. Like that's like that for me too. But we always want to be that strong person. And so I think it is important more than anything. I'm not the person that tell all your business, but more than anything on this journey of healing, we need to be transparent about what it looked like. It is not a one and done. We don't always have it together. You can feel like you have got over one thing and you find yourself back in another thing, and all of that is okay. But we have not allowed people to believe that it's okay. Oh, I got past that. Like we don't have it together all the time. We're not robots. And there is no one. We're not perfect. We are imperfect beings serving a perfect savior. And so I wanted to share that with you guys as we are coming to the closing of the show. If there would be anything that you guys personally want to drop to share, y'all didn't share so much tonight, and I am so thankful for all of what you share, being transparent about your journey with your father. Um, Annie, you with Shardel being transparent about the journey with your father, and you talking about even if so much, you always come with a she shot us, y'all. She shot us up, but what? No, I ain't gonna do it like that because she gonna want to fight me. I want to say that I'm very proud of my friend, though. I'm very proud of each and every one of us. How we can come here, and we can be very transparent. And so I pray tonight that each and every one of you that are watching, that you have something to take away from this, because healing is so important. Um, we attract who we are. And that's in friendship too. Let's be clear. We honestly, we attract who we are. And so I thank God that when the dust cleared, when God was transforming me from one thing to the next, when I looked around the people that are there, and you are the people that were there to love me through the ugly, the good, the bad. It is a beautiful thing to still have you guys remain and to even continuously speak life into me. So I would not have it any other way to have y'all come on the show yet again, to talk and to share your personal story. So thank each and every individual of you that came in, tuned in. We still are live on the radio show, y'all. When I last checked, we were yet over 70,000 people listening, and they sent the map. So I thank God for that. I thank God for opening the door. I thank God that He is allowing, His word, His encouragement, to hit the airways and for people's lives to be changed by way of our testimonies and the things that we've shared. And so, if for those of you that are on here, you are welcome to follow us on YouTube. If you go to the Healing Clinic Podcast, follow us on Instagram at the Healing Clinic Podcast. And if you are following me on Facebook, if you just type in the Healing Clinic, you'll be able to add the page. I recommend that you do it because we're going to do some amazing things. We are going to do the Healing Clinic live in September. I'm not going to throw that date at y'all just yet, but we are going to literally have a live conversation, a live event, and I would love for you guys to come out and support. Our next show will be, let me tell you, I don't want to tell y'all no wrong information. I'm trying to get back in the groove of doing things, but we're on every first and third Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So we'll be back on May the 20th. We'll be back on May the 20th. And that topic for discussion is healing is messy. And so really going in and talking about how ugly it could get, because you hear Jesus, you hear healing, and you think perfect. And baby, it's far from it. It's nowhere near. It is healing is so messy. Like it might make you think like you're crazy. Like, did that just happen? Like, wait, did they just do that? I mean, healing is very, very messy, but it is also beautiful. It is a beautiful thing to be and walk in your true, authentic self. And so I would even recommend, you see these ladies here, Shardel, Annie, and Jeri. If you like, you guys could add your followings to the comments. Follow them. They're doing some amazing things in business and ministry. They may have something that you to offer to you. That's like I would continuously say it's it's a beautiful thing to be on this side of things because I truly love them, and they know it. Like they know it. I don't just tell them I ain't doing this for the gram. We have private conversations about stuff. I can come to them raw and uncut and tell them that who I am, and they don't judge me. Some of them act like they my mama. They redirect me real fast, and I ain't pointing no fingers, but but they love me through it. The name of the book is "The Body Keeps the Score." If you type it in on Amazon, it's go pop up. I actually got that book in my cart, so when you said it, I was just like, but I'm trying not to get all them books at one time. And I know that a lot of things that have been said about healing, the Holy Spirit has ministered to them to me, and that's how I've been able to take this journey. The Holy Spirit has taught me so many different things as it pertains to healing, like who to talk to, which way to go, what to do. My favorite place now, y'all, is I work in the park. I set up my computer to work in the park because the outside. I don't know if you guys know that nature is so good for you when you're on a healing journey. Walks in the parks are so good for you. Going sitting by the water is so good for you on these journeys, on the healing journey. So that those things are really, really good. So if nobody else has nothing to say, I appreciate you guys again for tuning in. It's showing right now uh we have 9 people that is on Facebook Live. And on Blog Talk Radio, you guys, they say it's over 70,000. So we just thank and praise God for each and every one of you that tuned in. If I hadn't already said it, I love you guys. Make sure you share this information with someone that you know is on a healing journey. One of my sayings is, you may never go to a therapist, so I'm going to bring a therapist to you. You guys have a blessed night, and we will see you soon.